Namaskaram everyone.
Kanchi Kamakshi, Mathura Meenakshi and Kashi Vishalakshi. There's one interesting thing that if one notices about the other two goddesses. In the case of Kamakshi, Kamakshi's legend is different and Lalita's legend is different, but they both are present as one form in the Kamakoti Paytm. In the case of Meenakshi, Meenakshi's legend is different and Rajashyamala or Matangi's legend is different, but they are both present as one form in Madurai. But in the case of Kashi, Vishalakshi and Annapurna are known as two different goddesses, have two different forms, but are one goddess together. So this interesting feature is what we are going to explore a little bit about in today's video. To explore Vishalakshi Tattvam a little deeper, we will chant a slokam that has been penned by Uday that beautifully conveys the essence of Vishalakshi Tattva.
This shloka is composed in a poetic meter called Bhujanga Prayatam, which means the advancing of a snake, Bhujanga. While the first shloka in this series on Kamakshi was in the poetic meter Shikharini, which symbolizes stillness, and the next one on Meenakshi was in Shardula Vikridita, where movement began, it is only apt that we culminate this series symbolizing an upward movement of energy with Bhujanga Prayatam. This series started with the planting of the seed of desire by goddess Kamakshi as Ichha Shakti, which was then given momentum by goddess Meenakshi, with whose help as Jnana Shakti we set out in the pursuit of fulfilling that desire. We are here now with goddess Vishalakshi, where all desires are fulfilled, where one attains to fulfillment, nourished by the all-encompassing gaze of the wide-eyed goddess. Like in the last two videos, we will first learn to chant her shloka without any mispronunciations, learn the word-by-word meaning, while relishing the narrations of her stories and symbolisms. Let us now chant the shloka together. Vishuddha sphurat padma yugmam vahanti Sudhapurna kumbhakshamalan dadhana Vishalakshini sarvada annapurna Subhikshani kuryat svabhaktardrachitta.
Here in Kashipuram, we see that the goddesses have different temples. Vishalakshi has a different temple, Annapurna has a different temple. So how do we connect the two to be one? The idea is simple. In Kashi, Jagannatha takes the role of the universal provider, one who is feeding all her devotees eternally. Therefore, she is known as Annapurna. But in order for her to feed, she must first gauge how much every being requires, because she is the mother of everyone, Abrahmakita Janani, from Brahma till the smallest of particles, the smallest of insects, everyone. She is the mother of all of them. So, for the process of determining how much each being needs, she opens her eyes wide, hence Vishalakshi or Vishalakshi. Once she determines who needs how much, she then proceeds to the act of feeding, making her Annapurna. This bhavam of Vishalakshi and Annapurna, therefore, are two functions of the same goddess. This is what you also see beautifully depicted in Muthuswami Dikshithar's Kriti, Annapurne Vishalakshi, where he's referring to one goddess, not two different goddesses.
This is the layer-wise arrangement of the words in this shloka. As you see, the main idea conveyed here is Kuryat, may she create. What may she create? Subhikshani, all kinds of abundance and plenty. May who create such abundance? The rest of the words of the shloka answer that question, along with her other attributes. One thing to note here is that the depictions of goddess Vishalakshi are as mysterious as her names and her stories. While the physical form, its descriptions and surrounding literature is abundant for goddess Kamakshi and quite prevalent for Meenakshi, hardly do we find one or two stotras mentioning Vishalakshi, and when she is mentioned, she is mostly referred to as Annapurna. As we move from Kamakshi to Meenakshi to Vishalakshi, there is a definite shift towards subtler and subtler states of energy and being. So much so that the very word Vishala for this form of Shakti as Vishalakshi and Annapurna finds expression in both Vishnu and Shiva tattvas. The same root sound Vish Praveshane is the root for the very first name of Lord Vishnu in Vishnu Sahasranamas as Vishvam. It is of course the very name of her consort Shiva as Vishvanatha. In this final video, we see that the boundaries start to blur between the threefold manifestations of existence, be it Vishnu, Shiva and Shakti, or Kamakshi, Meenakshi and Vishalakshi.
When we understand the power of her gaze, of Jagannata's drishti, and how she casts it on all beings, then we can understand how we are only able to experience nourishment because of the power of her eyesight. This idea is what translates into the idea of Annapurna, where Anna does not only refer to physical rice. Anna refers to Anubhavam or experience. Vishalakshi is that goddess who gives us every kind of experience that is required for us to complete our journeys, be it material or be it spiritual.
Beseeching her to create such abundance of material well-being and of spiritual experience, Subhikshani Kuryat, we move towards the first descriptive word of the shloka. It is Vishuddha Sphurat Padma Yugmam Vahanti. She is the one who is seen to be bearing Vahanti, two lotuses, Padma Yugmam, which are pure, Vishuddha, and glowing Sphurat. It is said that these two resplendent lotuses are the abodes of her consort, Lord Vishvanatha, and her child, Lord Ganesha. She is depicted as the energy that enables the functions of both these masculine entities. The next word is Sudha Purna Kumbhaksha Malan Dadhana. In her other two hands, she is seen to be holding Dadhana, a Rudraksha Mala, and a Kamandalu. These two indicate intense austerities and penance associated with her sadhana. The next word, Sarvada, has two meanings. It can be understood as Sarvada, the one who bestows or provides everything, Sarva, or it can be clubbed with the following word, Annapurna, where it describes her as the one who is always, Sarvada, filled with sustenance, Anna. With this, we complete all the three shlokas depicting the forms of goddesses Kamakshi, Meenakshi and Vishalakshi.
If we look at this trio, in Kanchipuram, she resides as Kamakshi. There, she stirs desire inside Parameshwara, making him Kameshwara. Thus, Kanchipuram Kamakshi refers to the idea of Srishti because creation begins with desire. If we then move to Madurai, we look at the aspect of knowledge. We look at the idea that knowledge is required to sustain. There, she sustains everybody, all beings through her knowledge because she is Jnana Shakti as Meenakshi. Thus, Meenakshi represents Jnana Shakti and also Sthiti or sustenance. Kamakshi represents Srishti, Meenakshi represents Sthiti. And when we finally come to Kashi, the idea here is about Annapurna giving us every kind of experience that is required for our completion and fulfillment. This idea is what finally makes us dissolve into the Lord of the universe himself, Vishvanatha of Kashi. And for that, it is only going to happen through Vishalakshi's grace. Thus, in Kashipuram, she represents the idea of Laya. So Kamakshi is about Srishti, Meenakshi is about Sthiti, and Annapurna Vishalakshi is about Laya. Together, Srishti, Sthiti and Laya are all communicated through Kamakshi's, Meenakshi's and Vishalakshi's eyes alone. The connections between these three goddesses only begin here, they do not end here. From the perspective of yoga and yoga sadhana, Kanchipuram refers to the Manipura Chakram, Madurai or Mathurapuri refers to the Anahata Chakram, and Kashi refers to the Bhrumadhyasthanam or the Agnya Chakram. Further, this idea of three makes a reference to all the threes that exist. 3 states of time, 3 states of existence, 3 states of awakening, 3 bodies, and so much more. These 3 are constantly changing, but there is one unchanging idea between all of them, and that is Devi. So this idea is also represented in the first 3 names of the Lalita Sahasranamam, where we see Shri Mata, Shri Maharagni, and Shrimat Simhasaneshwari, where Mata, Maharagni, and Simhasaneshwari are changing, but Shri remains constant. Here, Kama, Meena, and Vishala are changing, but Akshi remains constant. That is the idea, that there is one force that is responsible and is constant, remains unchanged during all the change around. That force is Kamakshi, that force is Meenakshi, and that force is Vishalakshi. We thoroughly enjoyed putting together this exploration, a scratch on the surface of the Tattvam of Kamakshi, Meenakshi and Vishalakshi for you, especially on the auspicious days of Sharad Navaratris. We hope that you take these explorations further into your own sadhanas and you are able to engage with all these and more forms of the Divine Mother.
I would now like to take a moment to thank Vinay for having joined us on the Sanskrit channel for this series. As you might agree, this format of presentation has added so much more aesthetics and charm to our usual videos, and this was totally his idea to present something like this for the Navaratris. Let us know in the comments how you felt about it, and if there are any other topics you would want us to explore in the future. Do subscribe and follow Vinay's social media handles in the description below. At the very end, my heartfelt gratitude to all the patrons and YouTube members who enable us immensely in our efforts. Wish you all a vibrant Vijayadashami this year. Thank you so much once again for your time and attention. Namaskaram.